we'll have it kind of close. You got a good voice, so it'll pick you up.
Hello, can you hear us? Yeah!
Welcome to Inside Look. I'm Jeff Lyons, joined by the queen of song in Evansville and the tri-state area, Gina Moore.
Hello,
Thank
good
you,
morning,
Gina.
Good morning. Thank you, sweetheart.
Now, I have to do full disclosure
Yes,
because
you
I
do.
believe in always telling the truth.
Okay.
This isn't the first time we've tried this. This is our third attempt, so this is the best rehearsed
Amen.
podcast we've ever done.
We got this down,
I
baby.
had some issues pushing buttons, so now today I'm going to push your buttons, okay?
couldn't do it. You couldn't do it.
We got good audio. We got good picture. Everything's working.
Amen. I'm
So Gina,
excited.
hey, we could have church with that many amens.
Hey,
All right.
hallelujah.
Well, for those who don't know, Gina Moore, you are I'm going to call you sort of a fixture, an icon here in Evansville
Oh, well,
in
thank
music,
you.
in particular. I
Yes,
like to
love-
focus
yes,
on your
yes.
beautiful voice and your singing.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you,
So,
sweetheart.
but to get to that, we got to find out how we got Gina Moore to begin with. Now, I know you. They didn't just bring a truck into Evansville and drop you off.
Oh, no.
So you grew up
No.
here. Talk about your childhood
Yes,
and growing
grew
up.
here. My mother is Doris Moore. My father has passed away, in the late Herschel Moore, and grew up on the south side of Evansville. Went to school at Wheeler. Now it's gone. And then when they tore down Wheeler, my family and I moved out to the north side and moved into one of those Guthrie May homes in 1971.
Sure.
And been there since then, since 1971. Went to, after Wheeler, went to Highland until they built Tompkins. And after Tompkins, I went there, then went to Central, then graduated from Ivy Tech.
And you've been singing the whole time, right?
Singing the whole time, sweetheart.
when
Grew
did
up
you-
in the church singing.
See, I don't picture you singing in church like,
I know, 'cause I'm
Jesus
so- I know.
loves me. This.
No.
I picture Gina
Yeah.
Moore, So did it start out that way, or?
Well, no, it did not. I did grow up in church singing at Liberty Missionary Baptist Church, and I did not like to sing when I was growing up.
No.
I know.
Now wait a minute.
I know.
Back up.
Back up, I know. I was
You
rebellious.
You did not mention this in either of the rehearsals. How could that
Very
be?
rebellious. I don't know. I was just so rebellious. Rebellious.
Yeah, you did tell me that, and
I
I
did
still
tell you that.
I still can't quite picture
Oh yeah,
that. but-
very rebellious. Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah, ask any of my teachers. I don't know if there are any of them alive, but the ones that are alive, you can ask them. And yeah, I was a handful, still a handful. My mama still has to deal with me.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I just didn't like singing, and then all of a sudden, I like singing, and now you cannot shut me up.
Yeah.
And I'm singing everywhere,
I know.
everywhere.
I mean,
Weddings, funerals.
national
national
anthems, whatever. Hey, what's the biggest national anthem you've done?
The biggest one I've done was in Indianapolis. I was Ivy Tech's night at the for the basketball.
Pacers?
Thank
Right,
you.
yeah.
For the Pacers. How'd you know that?
Oh, big
And,
big sports guy
yeah,
here.
okay. Oh, okay.
That was a guess. But
Oh, it
no,
was
I
a
know
guess.
it's
Oh, so
Pacers.
the Pacers, they asked me to come sing the national anthem, and it was Michael.
Bolton?
No.
No.
The basketball
the
player.
player. Oh, now you got me.
Was that got the right name?
Yeah, it was somebody big.
Somebody's big last home game.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name right now.
Not Reggie Miller or
Reggie
somebody.
Miller.
Oh, it was Reggie Miller. Okay.
Reggie Miller's last home game.
Not Michael Bolton. I don't think he was out making hook shots. Reggie Miller. Okay.
Yeah, it was his last home game, so I got to sing that. So it was the Pacers versus somebody else. I was just there to sing, and then I was ready to leave. So I did.
So how did that work then? Why did they? I mean, I know why
Because I
they
was a
chose
graduate of
you.
Ivy Tech, so I graduated in Ivy Tech in 1982.
Right.
And I guess I was an alumnus or something. I don't know how it worked, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I never know how anything works.
Doesn't matter.
I just say yes to everybody.
Okay.
And so I just show up, and then I sing. I go on the floor, and they tell me that I can't hold my words because I hold my words to the national anthem because I've seen disaster national
yes.
anthems.
People forget the words.
Oh, it's so humiliating. So I always hold my words, but they tell me I could not hold my words. So the whole time I was out there praying and singing. Oh, Lord, oh, save. Thank you, Lord. Give me the next word. Can you see? What's the next word, Lord? And he kept giving me the words. And by the end, it was over. And I said, thank you, Lord. And then somebody came and got me and walked me back off the floor. And then I sat down in a seat for a few minutes, and the guy was in at the time. I said, do you want to stay? And he said, I do. I said, well, I don't. So we went shopping.
Okay,
That was it
naturally.
for me.
Right.
Yeah, I
That
was
settled
done.
you right down,
I was
didn't
done.
it? So what is the most stressful gig that you do? Now, I mean, I think, singing the national anthem for
Those are very
10,000 people.
Yeah, those are stressful.
Yeah.
Those are my stressful gigs.
And I know you've sung with the Philharmonic in Evansville
Oh,
many times,
yes.
gospel night, things
Yeah,
like
those
that.
aren't stressful. Those are fun.
But there's pressure too, because you got 100 musicians behind
Yes,
you,
you do.
and you kind of have to play nice with them, right? Not that you wouldn't play nice,
I'm always very nice.
but you're very much a solo act, and
I
yet
am.
you have to have the
Yes,
support. So
I have to,
how
but
do you kind of meet in the middle? Because they can't transpose, they can't
no, they
speed up,
cannot.
slow
I
down.
just have to. There we go again, going to the Lord in prayer and praying that I can hit those notes, because sometimes they can't, like you said, they won't transpose them, because how they get the music is how they get the music.
Right.
And sometimes maybe I can just do it with just a piano and just do it a cappella.
Yeah.
I love doing a cappella. I did that a couple of times not with the Philharmonic, but with the U of E concert. There was something I did, and I just sang a couple a cappella songs.
Uh-huh.
So nobody had to do anything. A cappella and no microphone. It's pretty cool.
And then it's all Gina all the time,
Yeah.
which is really your goal in life, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean, if
much-
you could just do
too
this
much
podcast
Gina.
alone, you would. So I'm just here to feed the questions
you
in.
are.
And
But you're awesome.
and the other thing we talked about too was that musicians, especially at your level, somebody as talented as you all know all the other good ones.
Oh, we do.
And so you're able to pull together
Man,
groups
we've
and bands.
had some great musicians, from Bob Green, who's a magnificent, Monty Skelton, Eric Scales. I mean, it goes on. Ricky Burns. The list goes on and on
Yeah.
and on. There's some talented people out there. Right here in Evansville, Indiana, we are so over the top blessed. Sung with the Duke Boys before. And it's just a blessing that how many musicians are right here in Evansville.
Yeah.
You just don't have a clue how talented this city is.
I want you to just for a second
Yes.
sit in the accompanist seat. Whoever has to play for you. Do you feel good for them? Are you demanding of an accompanist? How do you
demanding.
work with your piano player?
I just give them that look.
The look. Oh, I'm getting it now. So
getting the
it's
look.
like we better move on to the next
You
question.
better, you know what I like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well,
And don't play too loud. Don't be playing over me. Don't do that, because that upsets me.
Uh-huh.
And don't make me have to follow you. You follow me. I'm not following you. Okay.
okay.
We get this clear at the strut. Okay.
You're scaring me now, and we're just talking.
I'm sorry. Okay.
You know,
I'm sorry.
not scaring, but
I'm sorry.
I can see. So, and I wanted to loop back around too, because it started out with the Brown sisters, your sister
Yes.
Joan,
My sister
and
Joan
you,
and I are still the Brown sisters.
and you've told me this story three
What,
times
what,
now,
what?
but we're going to try to make it seem
Oh, there
fresh,
is
like
three
I've never
times.
heard it before.
Yes, okay.
So when you two were auditioning,
Yes.
you want to talk about that,
I
because
do.
that
Yes.
was kind of your entry into
It is.
singing for
You
the
are
public.
Right. You are correct.
Yeah.
So my sister Joan and I, we are blood sisters. We both received calls from somebody, two different people, to get to the Civic Theater. This was in 1986.
It's a while back. Yeah.
Yeah, and the play was the 1940s Radio Hour, and they just needed one black female singer. So I show up there, and my sister Joan shows up there, and we both look at each other like, "What are you doing here?" She said, "What are you doing here?" And so we almost got into a drag-out fight right there. And then I said, "Well, Christine Dawkins called me. I don't know who called you with that. I got attitude, because she got attitude. My sister got attitude. Anyway, because she's beat me up in the closet. And so I get on stage and I do she doesn't need a baker. I do Whitney Houston. She doesn't need a baker. Dick Ingers.
For your audition piece.
For
Yep.
auditions. Dick Ingers, everybody else is gone now. Everybody's got their part. Dick Ingers can't decide who to cast. He sends us upstairs to the balcony. He says, Gina, sing. Joan, sing. Still can't decide, because our voices are different, but they're alike. So he goes upstairs with a coin. I said, no, give it to Joan. He said, no, give it to Gina. He said, I'm going to split this single row of Geneva Lee Brown with an E, and we'll call you the Brown Sisters. And that's how we got our name.
And
in
so
1986.
And then you started singing gigs, because the Brown
Yes.
sisters were everywhere there in the late 80s, early
Everywhere.
90s.
And in the audience that evening was Larry Miller, a friend of mine, as well as a YMCA board member. And I've been at the Y for going on 43 years. And he said, Gina, you all got to keep this act going. I'm like, well, what are you going to do? He said, well, I've got a drum machine, and I got a band, and we can start rehearsing in my garage. I'm like, okay.
That sounds appealing.
Oh, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. The garage was cold. It was a drum machine, and it was a nightmare. And I said, oh, and everything he had was like sheets of music. He had it all written out. And so he got his band together. They're called the Currents. So he said, we'll call it Larry Miller and the Currents featuring the Brown Center. And our first gig was at Evansville, a play on New York.
Sure.
In the Blue Room at the old courthouse.
Yeah.
And so that was our first
And
gig.
people came through and you're singing.
Oh, it was packed in there. We had them packed like sardines in there.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was a great gig. From there, we did other gigs, and then we joined other bands. We joined MB and the Flips, which Mike Libbs and Sam Adams. Rest in peace, Sam. And then we went to another band. Then we met Night Patrol at the Duck Inn. Oh, we played the Duck Inn many nights. That was cool. And it was smoky. We do not like cigarette smoke. So we would go, during our breaks, we'd go in the back room, sit, try to freshen out, come back out, sing some more. We were there till like 1 or 2 in the morning. Cool gigs.
So how'd you balance that with then showing up at the Y the next morning?
It was work. It was work because that was back then. I had just started.
Yeah.
So I couldn't just come in like leisurely.
You come in leisurely now? Is that how it works?
I'm the leisure girl. Yes. They'll say, "Where's Gina?" So my light is on. My light's left on. I used to put a coat on the back of my chair, and my radio's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I spray a lot of perfume, so you never know where I am. They said I can smell her. I can smell her.
You're still rebellious, aren't you?
Oh, you don't even
Sticking
know.
it to the man just a little bit. So so these gigs, of course, added up, and then now you're singing, and I know you brought some visual aids.
Yes,
so for our viewers, because
Yes,
this is an audio podcast, so I'm going to describe what we're showing.
Oh, very
and
good.
then for the folks watching here, you were on the cover of Evansville Living at Best of 2006.
I know.
But you didn't know that you were going to be on the cover,
I did
right?
not know. They tricked me. So they said, "Gina, can you go to the
Coliseum. Yeah, that's where that is.
Coliseum," and he said, "Just take some pictures, and we're doing the Best of Evansville." I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that." And I was smiling, doing my Gina thing, and then it was over. And then
there is a Gina thing.
Oh, there's
okay.
definitely. Oh, I'm a Gina
Just
thing.
carefully
I like-
curated.
Yeah.
And then you've got a
poor
picture
mama.
here. You're with Michael Bolton on
Michael
the world
Bolton,
tour.
yes.
And again, we're looking at a picture
Yeah.
of you and
It was our choir, the Sounds of Grace Choir.
from Grace and Peace Lutheran
Yes,
Church.
very good.
Okay.
And so we were asked to get a backup group together. So I got there, and we just did 2 songs, Time, Love, and Tenderness, and Lean on Me. And
Okay.
Michael Bolton was not feeling well that evening, so he was in a raw mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to throw my shoe at him,
So,
but I didn't.
well, yeah. I mean, you can't throw
Yeah,
a shoe
I
at the
can't throw a shoe,
headliner.
but I-
Yeah, at least not on stage, right?
Okay.
We need
I'll
the
tell
full
you, I
story.
got a bad side to me. People don't know
So,
it.
and then later you perform with Josh Groban.
I
Again, I'm
did.
showing an
You
autographed
raised me
picture here.
up. Yes, it was awesome. And he came on stage with us. He had her on the piano. He was on the piano. He sang with us. He told us what to sing and how to sing. And then after that, we had dinner with him. And at the very end, he took a picture with us. Just nice. That's how you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Michael Bolton. That's how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be nice to people.
Now wait, back up. He told you how to
Unpaid
sing.
people.
Josh Groban told you how to sing.
No. He just said what.
He said,
what
"Oh,
parts.
we're going to come in. You're
Yes.
alto, you're soprano."
Yes, and then we got to come downstairs.
He,
It was
he
so
didn't dare say,
cool.
"Gina, you might want to elongate your vowels." Nobody would do that.
Nobody would. Mr. Johnson did that in my high school.
Your choir director.
My choir director at high school, and he put me in the hallway a couple times.
Yeah.
For being rebellious.
Just couldn't handle you,
he
right?
just could not handle me. He said, "Gina, just go in the hallway." And I was like, "Okay." And I love that.
What was the
'Cause I was
hallway like
busy.
at Central High School?
I love the hallway. I'd visit people and just had conversations. You don't even know. I was entertaining.
Well, I can imagine.
Can
You
imagine?
entertaining.
I was entertaining.
I can't believe that at
Gina's
all.
in the hallway.
So, and then you married too, and
I married my Joe.
Well, I wanted to kind of get into that because we go way back because of the
We
Really
go way
Big
back.
Show.
Oh, I love the
for
Really Big Show.
Arc of Evansville, and we had done 22 variety shows.
Oh, it was the best show ever.
And when we started, I think in 2003, I think it was our first
oh
show.
my gosh.
When we were putting that
Oh,
together,
my gosh.
Theo Boots, your old buddy,
Theo, sweet on Theo,
who was
I
our
love Theo.
development director,
Yes.
said we need to do a variety show, and
That is
everybody
crazy.
kind of poo-pooed it. They were like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And she said, "Well, we could get Gina Moore." And so as soon as we heard Gina Moore, we thought, well, yeah, we could be okay. And then if everything else craps out, we'll just put Gina on for the hour, But everything didn't crap out.
No,
we
it
had
was
people from all over.
It was huge,
Yeah.
Jeff.
But
was
your
huge.
your thing was always singing with our clients,
With the
our
clients,
individuals
and I
at
adore my
ARC.
clients.
Yeah.
Oh, that made my heart just melt.
And everybody, I mean,
Oh.
audience included, of course, but our friends at ARC really respond to you, and you just seem to
Oh.
draw that energy and,
Yeah, but I
share
just
it too.
love the art, all the clients. I love rehearsing with them. They just want to love on you and just want to perform. I mean, this you don't know what you did to light up their life. You have no clue. That
Oh,
was
it-
amazing.
just being on the big stage,
Yes,
is
they love
such
that,
an.
Jeff.
I
They
mean,
did.
I think about it. I would never. I'm on TV, but that's not like being on stage.
It is
you
not.
know,
It's a
and
big difference. I'm
it
telling
was,
you,
It was
it's
fun.
a big deal. We had
Yeah.
a backup band with Mr. Terry Becker. Rest in peace, Mr. Becker.
He was
Oh.
awesome, and
Oh, he's
again,
my
one
heart.
of
He
a
was my
kind.
heart. Oh.
Yeah. So during that process, when we were doing the really big show, you dropped the bomb right in front of 1,500 people
did,
in
didn't I?
Vandenberg Auditorium. Say, oh, by the way, I'm engaged, and we're like, what? That's not, where was that in the script?
I know. Where is
And
that
so
in the script?
so tell us about Joe.
My Joe Thompson from Mount Carmel, Illinois, by way of Allendale, by way of Oreo, because he's from Oreo, a little bitty
Okay.
bitty city in Illinois. He had been attending single dances here in Newburgh at the American Legion.
Okay.
And had been with my ex-boyfriend. We'd been together for 10 years, and then we broke up. So about 2 years, I was single. Gina Moore single. Dun, 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 news at 10.
Wow.
And I know. And so a friend of mine, Angie, who works with me at the Y, Angie McAtee, she'd been going to these singles dances in Newburgh. And she asked me if I want to go. And I said, I don't want to, I know I'm single. And so one day I was at Diller's and I was on being a style show, and the girl there is Kathy Weber, and she said, Gina, my husband and I do singles dances, and you should come. I'm like, okay. I said, my friend Angie told me about that. I said, well, I might come. So I was gonna go on Halloween. I chickened out. So I did. I said,
Didn't have a good costume, right?
I just couldn't do it. So on November the 7th, the next Sunday, I said, okay, I'll go. So I called my friend Angie. I said, Angie, we're going to go. I said, but I got to stop by the mayor's house. Was he the mayor? Was Mayor Lloyd the mayor in 2010?
In 2010, it would have been either Lloyd or it might have been Jonathan Winesapple. Yeah.
So I thought it was, well, he may not have been there, but I stopped by the mayor's house alone in Carolyn McClintock's house, and I had to sing happy birthday to Debbie Talley. And so I said, I got to stop here and sing happy birthday. I know, isn't that something? And
I
we
want
are
to see.
family.
I want to see your calendar
I know
sometime.
my calendar is crazy. And I said, I got to stop real quick, sing these 2 songs, then we can head on to Newburgh. So I get to Newburgh, Kathy's at the door, pay my $6 to be single. Embarrassing. And it's humiliating. And from the way across the room, her husband, Randy, says, Gina, I died deaths that you haven't even died. I'm like, why is he calling my name out loud? It's dark in there. I thought I could just hide in the dark.
Yeah,
Nobody
and
would
he's a
see
DJ,
me.
right? So
Yes,
he's
he was a
spinning the
DJ.
tunes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he can see me.
Yeah.
And he yells my name, and I'm dying. I'm like, don't say my name. Nobody know I'm here. He said, just come and sing. He said, just come and sing at last. I'm like, okay. And so I sing at last. Before I could sit down, Joe Thompson, who was there at the time, who'd been going to those dances forever, asked me to dance. And so we danced until 11 o'clock. They turned the lights on. He walks me to my car, kisses my hand, asks me for my number, and calls me before I leave the parking lot. And we've been together ever since.
That's a great story.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. Did they turn the disco ball on while you were dancing in
don't
the
even
blue light?
remember.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. It's so humiliating.
so
being
were you
single.
immediately smitten in love?
I was.
So
isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. For
It
$5.
is.
See,
'Cause
so
you
it was
know
worth
why?
it to go in. Yeah.
Because he was so nice, and he's still so nice.
Yeah.
I love my Joe.
So you get married.
We get married.
And this is another one of those only Gina Moore stories.
Only Gina Moore stories.
Most people send out invitations. They go down the aisle. They wear the thing.
Ain't none of that happening.
So-
Anybody got time for that? I did that already. That didn't work. So the mayor was at one of my Kiwanis meetings.
And this was Lloyd Winnicky by
Lloyd
this
Winnicky.
point.
Lloyd
Yeah.
Winnicky did.
Poor Lloyd.
Poor Lloyd. I said, hey, what are you doing on November the 7th? He said, well, Gina, I don't know. He said, call my secretary. So I did. I said, well, Joe and I may want to get married. He said, oh, okay, Gina. So he really didn't pay me the attention. So I called his secretary. Then I sent my husband, Joe, a text. I said, well, the mayor's available on November the 7th, which is 2015. I said, we're getting married. He said, oh, really? That was his response. That's all he said.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's how he responded. I said, yes, really.
No emoji on it, like
Nothing.
little heart or
I think
anything?
He was in shock. He just said, oh, really?
Well, I'd be in shock,
I know,
too.
he was in shock. And so November the 7th, 2015 comes. I get to my church. I told my husband, or Joe, fiance at the time, I said, you got to pick up my mom and your mom and just tell them we're going out to eat. But tell them to come out the church first. And so he gets them to the church. And my mom is a trip. And she refuses to get out of the car. And he's like, Mother Moore. He calls her Mother Moore.
Oh, I like that. Mother Moore.
Mother Moore. Says,
I'm getting I know your mom, but I get this picture that's much different when I hear that.
He says, Mother Moore, can you please come in? Gina wants to show you something. And he said, oh, my gosh. And then the wedding starts. And they come up to the front. And I said, we're getting married. Joe and I are getting married. And they're like, oh. So everybody comes on the altar with the mayor, with my pastor, Pastor Roberto Meyer, who's passed away, rest in peace. And he performs the wedding because she wasn't ordained then, my pastor. He performs the wedding. It is short. And on the altar, I tell my husband right there, I said, I'm not leaving my mama, and I'm not taking your last name. That's what I told him on the altar. And that just happened.
Those were your vows.
Those are my vows.
And you're still Gina Moore.
I'm still Gina Moore.
And you still got your mom.
I still got my mama, honey.
Okay. What a story. So, that's the thing. I mean, who knew? I mean, I would have guessed after talking to you several years, I knew there would never just be well, we went to the store and bought eggs. I mean, it's always something happens to you, doesn't it?
I love going to the store and I sing all through the aisles. People can hear me singing through the aisles. Gina, we can hear you. I'm like, hello. Yeah, I love singing along with music.
That is a great story.
I
wanted to ask one quick question.
What,
so
baby?
you kind of blew that off, but 42 years with the YMCA.
Yes.
Which is a tremendous career.
It's crazy.
Right?
You've been here that long, though.
So,
You've been here long, too.
Well, I know, but so why the why? Like, are you a weightlifter and you get on those machines? And
No. Why the why? So I graduated from Ivy Tech in 1982.
Yeah.
And so I needed a job. That was in May. And in July, I think I applied for the job in May, but somebody else got it or something like that.
Yeah.
But the person that got it, I think her name was Karen, she didn't want it. And so Gary Shalansker called me back. He said, Gina, the job is available. I said, okay. So I was administrative assistant, and that's what I've been ever since.
And there you are.
And here I still am.
But you're never down doing the exercises or the sweating with the oldies or any of that.
No. Sometimes I've done exercises. I've done Zumba, and I've done yoga.
Yeah.
Not hot yoga. How do people do that? How'd they do that?
No, I don't either.
Oh, my Lord, have mercy. But just regular yoga, I've done that.
Uh-huh.
I've done all kind of exercises, yeah.
Yeah.
Get on the machine sometimes.
What's next for Gina Moore?
What's next for Gina Moore? I'm going to be singing at a funeral this Saturday
That's-
along with your
that's
wife,
right.
you told me, which is so cool. So
Right.
I get to hug her. Funeral Saturday. Had a funeral last Saturday, and then the next Saturday, I'm singing at the NCAA.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I put that in there for you.
Oh, you did in my talking points. This is
Yes.
a two-sheet talking points in there. But you're singing a tournament here in town, in the Ford Center.
Yes. Whatever that says right there. That's what I'm
Oh,
gonna
the
do.
Elite Eight. Okay, all right.
You know what that is?
Yeah, what's basketball?
This is Byron Douglas. Byron!
Oh, he'll come in here and
Okay.
and bomb the podcast.
Okay.
When I meant not just in the next couple of weeks, but where do you see it going? So you stay with the Y.
Yeah, I'm busy. I've got I always sing every year for Mother's Day. I sing at Howell General Baptist Church. Last year I didn't do it, and they were like so upset with me. But they hadn't called me yet,
Right.
So they just assumed
You gotta
that I
call
would be
early
there.
to get
You
on your
gotta call me
calendar.
early.
Right.
So some other church called me in Princeton, so I did theirs, and well, Gina, you're supposed to be here. So she called me already. She called me like in January to sing in May on Mother's Day. So I've got that on my calendar for Mother's Day. And then I'm going to be singing at the Wrights Home with Bob Green and Monty Skelton. And that will be on Thursday, June the 12th for Wind Down to the Weekend, baby.
And you'll hear it all over downtown.
Yeah, you
your
hear it
voice
like
carries just a little bit.
It's
So
from 5 to 7, so please come out.
I got one last question.
What, baby?
What's the most gigs or song, events that you've done in a day? Like, in other words, you started with a funeral in the morning, then you ran
yes.
over to a dedication, then you
Yes.
grocery shop. We'll count that
Yes,
since you
I've
sing.
done that. Yes, I did a funeral not too long ago for Joan David's husband. Rest in peace, Mr. David. And did that funeral. Then I had to rush. So they held up the funeral. Had to get to Alexander and the outside, what you
Right.
call it, the memorial thing.
Sure, yeah,
And I was with Brother Terry. And so they waited for me to get there, then I had to sing there. Then I had something else that day. But I always have multiple gigs within a day.
Wow.
Always.
You have a manager?
Gina Moore is the manager.
Okay. Well, I believe that you're not trusting Joe to your calendar.
No,
Right.
no. I'm not
Maybe
gonna
that'd be
nobody.
retirement gig for me is I'll handle Gina Moore.
Oh, that would be awesome.
No, it wouldn't. It would be terrifying.
I love you,
You
Jeff.
can never say no to anybody,
I cannot
including
say-
me. And I want to thank you for doing this 3 times with
this
me.
is funny,
That's
isn't it?
way above
I
and
just
beyond.
adore you, Jeff.
And-
I adore you. My mom adores you too.
Well, I appreciate that. Tell Mother
Mother
Moore.
Moore. I
Mother,
will
does
tell
she like being called Mother Moore?
Yes, yes, she loves being called mother or mama. You can call her mama. She loves being called mama.
I'd probably call her Mother Moore first. I
yeah.
think Mama's a little, a little cheeky if I don't really know her very well. But anyway,
My ex-boyfriend still calls her mama. She still sends him birthday cards. He's married, so I have to buy a birthday card for him and his wife. My mama does that stuff. I got to go out and buy it, and I got to mail it. What is up with that?
well, now I've set you off. I was hoping
Don't
we'd
set
get
me
through
off.
this whole thing without setting off Gina
Don't
Moore.
set me off. Okay,
Gina,
sorry.
thanks so much for doing
I
this.
love you. I
appreciate
love
it.
you. I
well,
love you. I love you.
and we love all that you do for the community.
Thank you. I love my
So
community.
thanks and I found out from our technical people
What?
there was just too much wattage back here. Too much star power blew everything out. So
I have been told I'm too loud.
yep. You too loud?
Oh yeah, back off, Gina.
Yeah, the bowling alley just called. They said, hold it down up here. All right. Well, you have spent a fabulous podcast here with Gina Moore. Thanks for watching and listening to Inside Look. You can get us wherever you get your podcast, or you can watch by subscribing to the 14 News YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining.
Bye, babies.